What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another Marvel Future Fight video. Alright, so in this one here, we're going to take an early look at Darkhawk. So yes, we did get access to the APK, so with that comes the standard disclaimer that this is a pre-update version of the game, so everything you see here is still subject to change, so some of the stats, values, and all of that can change from now until the final version. Also, this video is brought to you by Netmarble and the Content Creator Club. I gotta remember that one, it's not the Star Agent program anymore. Yeah, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at Darkhawk. So right now I haven't really done too much to him, and they only gave us Darkhawk at level 7 or level 60, so we're not gonna have a level 70 version to play around with here on APK. So let's first take a look at the skills here. So his first skill, we don't have anything special on there. His second skill does have some all defense down. The all defense down stacks up to only minus 45%, so not going to be too noticeable, but it is nice that he has that, so it does help. For the third skill here, we have a accumulation, which is based on damage dealt, so that's quite nice. He's got damage immunity for 5 seconds and a heal, which is good. Also reflects some damage here, and it's all damage, right? Yeah, it reflects 25% of damage received, so it doesn't matter if it's energy or physical damage. For the fourth skill here, we just have a standard skill for damage. For the fifth skill, we do have a buff here with a 40% all attack, all defense. We have a little bit of all speed, and then we have some crit rate here, which is quite nice. His passive is going to apply only to self. It's going to increase damage dealt to supervillains by 30% and decrease damage received by supervillains by 20%. So kind of like a mini support there, except it's only for himself. So that's, I guess that's pretty good. Increases his damage there. His leadership is just a speed leadership, and I don't think we went over his tier 2. His tier 2 passive is ignore defense 20%, so you don't really have to worry about maxing out his ignore defense. You should get there quite easily for Darkhawk. He's got some ignore dodge by 20%, and then he's got skill damage 25% and bonus damage by 30%, so a little bit of damage there, and a little bit of kind of utility with the ignore, defense, and dodge. So quite nice, all around kit. So he's pretty easy to max out, at least on the important stats there, because you have a crit rate buff here, and then you've got the ignore defense here. For his ice weight set, I just put Hawk's Eye on him. That's pretty much just the first one I rolled, so that's what I went with. For his Obelisk Cure, or CTP in this case, I have a CTP of Destruction, and that's just because I don't have very many options on the APK here. I don't have any real just regular Obelisks with a damage proc, and I just wanted to try him out with a damage proc first before going with like Rage or something like that to see how an activation works for him. So that's why I went with a CTP of Destruction. For him, I don't think he needs the Guard Break immunity. If we go into the skills here, you're pretty much going to be an iframe for most of the time. So the only time you're going to ever get guard broken is when you use the third skill for that buff, because as you can see, that's not an iframe and you just get the buff right there, but you're just going to be canceling it because you get the iframe, or you get the buffs from it right away. So you're just going to be canceling right away. So you don't really have to worry about that. So if you do get guard broken out of it, you still get all of the buffs and you have the damage immunity, so you shouldn't take any damage from that as well. Second skill is the one with the all defense down. As you can see, he kind of twirls around a little bit and then lands down on him. You're going to be canceling this one pretty much as early as you can because it only lasts for 5 seconds. So if you want to take advantage of the all defense down on one of your other more damaging skills, you've got to cancel the skill pretty much right away. But it is an iframe, so you're nice and safe, so that's good. And then the fourth skill here, we have another iframe, and he just kind of flies around dropping I guess energy bombs on them, which is quite cool. And then the fifth skill here, you have one of the kind of SFX animations that you can't turn off, which I'm not really sure why they do that. It just fills up the screen and just I don't know, it can hinder you in certain game modes when you're looking for the purple or unblockable attacks and stuff like that. But he does get into an iframe. I think he goes into iframe right away. Because every time I've used the fifth skill so far, I haven't really gotten guard broken out of it or taken damage while using it. But yeah, and you get the buff right away at the start of it. So that's kind of the skill that you want to get your damage proc on if you can. But the rotation that I found that works quite well for him for like keeping him alive, it kind of alternates the damage proc a little bit. So I usually open up with the fifth skill and try to just get the damage proc to go off right away, and also get that immunity. And then you do that, and then you go into this one right here for the all defense down, and then you can pop into the fourth skill Then after the fourth skill is done, you go into the second skill again, and then you do the 3-5, and you kind of just alternate that. So now when the fifth skill is done, you're going to do the second skill again, wait for that twirl right there, go into the third skill, then go back into the fourth skill. So your damage proc is kind of going to alternate between the fourth and fifth for each rotation, and I found that that's just a really good way to keep him alive because he has really long animations on both the fifth and the fourth skill, so it's going to be really hard to do both of those skills in one damage proc rotation and still kind of get the other effects from 3 and 2, so I just like to stagger the damage proc there. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of gameplay and show that in action. Alright, so here we are at Coal Obsidian. Darkhawk does deal energy damage, so that's why we're going to take him in here. I just decided to go with this team. We have Coulson for the buff, and then we have Ebony for leadership and also support as well. And if you noticed up here, which is really cool, is you can actually set teams now. So it seems to save your teams if you set them up here, which is quite cool. So you can just pick whichever, if you do the same teams every time for a particular world boss, then boom, you can just set them right here. If you like to experiment around, you can have like 3 set teams and go over here and just always have like the leadership you want, and then just swap around like DPSs or something like that. So yeah, I think that's a quite cool addition right here, so I'm actually happy with that. But let's go ahead and hop in. You can also do the same thing for your strikers if you have a certain team that you want to use different strikers for, because of the resist function. So if you're using a DPS that has all defense down, then you don't want to use an all defense down striker, then you can switch over to whichever tab you have selected for your strikers that does not have all defense down. So let's just go ahead and hop in here, and remember he is only level 60, so the damage is going to be a little bit light. And also we are on the APK here, we have no alliance, so yeah, we have quite a few things we're missing in terms of potential damage. So as you can see, this is kind of the rotation I like to do, and it keeps him quite safe because as you can see, Coal Obsidian isn't really getting many hits in, and even when he does get some hits in, or we take some like bleed or poison damage, we just heal up with the third skill because that's a 17% max HP heal, so that is quite nice. But as you can see, the damage is a little underwhelming, but once we get him hopefully to level 70, the damage should spike up a little bit here. And also if I use some more strikers, because I'm almost thinking it might be better to use an all defense down strike with him and just not use the second skill. So if we don't use the second skill, we can go into 3 for the buff and then do 4 here, and then we go right into 5, and then you can pretty much chain 5 into 3, so you can just do 3, 4, and 5. So those are pretty safe ones to do. And then if you have your all defense down striker, you can be using them to get that all defense down, and hopefully the damage will be a little bit better. But again, I'd only recommend that if you have a high enough resist so that the all defense down doesn't get, you know, shortened to 1 second really early on in the fight, because the minus 45% can still be good if you're in like mid stages of world boss here. So as you can see, the damage is definitely noticeably better with the all defense down, but again, with it only being 45%, that's why using like Nimrod as a striker or something like that might be a little bit more beneficial here for Darkhawk on some of the later stages, because I don't think that minus 45% is going to be enough extra damage for him to be pushing any higher than that. But yeah, overall, he's looking pretty good. I like all the animations for Darkhawk. He's a speed character, so he's actually going to be really good for Corvus as well. So he does okay here against Coal Obsidian, as you saw, but he does do a little bit better against Corvus here. We're using, of course, all ignore dodge strikers, but he has that native 20% ignore dodge, so you can take off one of the ignore dodge strikers, which is quite nice, then fill that in with, if you need a little extra healing, anti-venom. If you need the ignore defense, then you can do, or the all defense down, I mean, then you can do like Nimrod. If you want to do mind control, then you can do that as well. But again, he's pretty safe to play, so I don't think you really need the extra support or healing and that kind of stuff. Well, I mean, I messed up at the start there and we got that bleed on us. But for the most part, you're not really going to need much of that. Mind control, of course, would be nice to kind of lock down the boss a little bit more. We're going to die right there. But yeah, he does pretty well against Corvus here. So he seems like he's going to be good for both of those. In terms of any... Oh, and before I forget here, you can also get 10 of his biometrics per day from the epic quest. If we go over to the space prison, you see Wings of Darkness there. And then if we go down, we can see we get 10 biometrics of Darkhawk. So you can farm him up this way. And also, I don't remember if I mentioned at the start or not, but he is a fully free-to-play character. So as you can see, if we just do a regular bioselector right here, you can get his biometrics from there as well if you want to accelerate the process in unlocking or tier 2ing Darkhawk. So yeah, he's pretty much the full bioselector character of the update here. And also you can of course get some biometrics here from the epic quest. So that's kind of my initial impressions of Darkhawk here. He's looking pretty good. I can't wait to try him out on my own account and also get him to level 70 to see how much more of a difference that makes. But for now, that's going to be it on this video here. Let me know if you're liking Darkhawk. If you want to see more, then let me know what kind of content you want me to take him into. But for now, like I said, that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.